Hello everybody, I'm The Last Pretender, and today we're going to be talking about damage. So last time we talked about attack skill and defense skill, and how those two things play off of each other to decide whether or not a melee attack hits or misses. So today we're going to be talking about how much damage is done whenever an attack does hit. So Dominions, like a lot of games, has a hit point system in place, which is to say that the more hit points a unit has, the harder it is to kill. And every time a unit takes damage, those hit points go down. Should your hit points get reduced to 0, the unit dies. So whenever we're looking at damage, keep in the back of your mind that this is how many hit points you're grinding away at. A good rule of thumb is that your average frontline fighter has a hit point value of about 10. However, this can vary depending on the sort of units you have. If you have giants, it's going to be more. Some super combatants end up getting HP as high as hundreds, but 10 is a pretty good number for your average Joe unit. Now, let's take a look at how damage is actually calculated. Let's say we have this guy here. He's a not too uncommon Atlantean infantry unit, and he makes an attack, and it hits. So how much damage does he do? Well, there are three things that are going to be added together to figure out his final damage value. The first thing is his weapon damage. Every single weapon, even if it's a fist or claws, has a value associated with it that is outside of the unit. It doesn't matter who's using this weapon, this much damage will be applied to the damage value. In this case, we have a Coral Spear, who has a weapon damage value of 2. Then we're going to add the unit's strength. Makes sense, the stronger a unit is, the more damage he's going to do when he physically strikes you. In this case, we're looking at 11. And then we add a DRN. DRNs exist throughout all of Dominions. I made a video on it, which you should watch and like. And then we have the final damage value. So let's say we have a 9 for the DRN, a 2 for weapon damage value, and 11 for strength, giving us a 22. Now this might seem a little high, but before I get into that, I just want to show you something in Dominions that can confuse newer players. Alright, so we're actually in the game now, which I know is all very exciting. And we've got this guy over here, who we were talking about earlier, and we've got his Coral Spear. Now, if you recall, I said that it has a damage value of 2, but here it has 13. Don't pay attention to this star. The star is an additional effect. In this case, it's weak poison. If you right-click on it, you can see the weapon stats, and it has a damage of 2. This is the damage value. Now, whenever you see this and you see the 13, it's because it's already added in the strength. So, if you're trying to figure out how much damage your unit's going to end up doing, don't forget that this is already with the strength added in. Otherwise, this unit would be crazy good. Alright, so I figured out how damage dealt is calculated. Now I need to figure out how damage resisted is calculated. Because in the same way that there is a defense skill to parity an attack skill, there's damage resistance to parity damage dealt. So let's say we have Cletus here. And Cletus is about to take 24 points of bludgeoning damage. Now normally, this would kill Cletus, but there is a damage resist roll, so Cletus doesn't just die immediately. So what does his damage resist? Well, first, we're going to throw in his protection. What is protection? Well, the protection value is determined by how much armor they're wearing and what their natural protection is. So if your unit is wearing some heavy plate mail, their protection value is going to be pretty high. However, if they have a thick hide, or they have scaly skin, or have a hard turtle shell, then they're also going to have a high protection value. Protection doesn't add to your defensive ability, but it adds your ability to resist incoming damage. So that's why it's things like armor and hardened scales. Cletus here has a protection value of 14. And then we're going to add a DRN for good measure. Dominions loves DRNs. They're all over the place. There's one right here. Let's say he rolls a 7. So he was originally going to take 24 points of bludgeoning damage, which would kill him. But now, being that we have a protection of 14 and a DRN of 7, giving us a 21, we subtract the 21 from 24, and Cletus is only going to take 3 points of damage. Far more manageable. Not great, but it could have been a lot worse. And with that, we've got a pretty good idea as to how damage dealt works in Congress with damage resistance. We don't have the whole picture, but we've got a general idea. There's still some other things to cover, things like damage types, i.e. slashing versus bludgeoning, and things like the role that a shield plays whenever calculating damage dealt. However, those are videos for another time, particularly my next video, in which I'm going to be covering the things you hold in your hand. So until next time, This has been The Last Pretender, and I'll see you guys next time.